Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Joe Love. Here we shall go over four sorts of topics in the midst of March Madness. It's big time. It's this week. It's gonna start. Things are gonna get crazy. Things are gonna get buzzy. It's all in all. Now, today, of course, we'll go over brackets and matchups, but I will not give my preview. I will do a separate video for that, but, it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting to see how March Madness fares. Certainly the season. Bunch interesting stuff to go over. UFC Fight Night, Tai Tuivasa versus Marcin Tybura, way over on Saturday. Go talk about that as well as some of the unique signings currently still take place in the NFL amongst free agency. Some good stuff. So sit back, sit tight as bunch to go over today for sports of topics. So thank you all, and let's just have fun. Let's have a joyous ride, and it's gonna be good to talk about for sports of topics. But nonetheless, thank you. Like, subscribe, especially subscribe. More people, more helps out the channel. And of course, like does as well. But you guys get the humor in that, or jazz, whatever that nonsense. But thank you guys all. Thank you. So, hi. So, I guess first we shall go over two biggest NFL moves taking place last couple days. And hence we had first I already did a short about it out. But we'll talk about these two of the big signings, Chase Young and Mike Williams. So, first of all, Chase Young. Chase Young, the former number 2 overall pick in 2020 draft, taken by the now Washington Commanders. One defensive rookie of the year. Had solid season, obviously. He's had injuries, and now there's questions about his work ethic, different opinions about him. Now, he did have a solid but not great stint with the San Francisco 49ers last season, in which he was traded. He and Montez Sweat both traded in fairs. Could argue that Montez Sweat certainly did better for the Bears than Chase Young arguably did for the 49ers, but he still had an impact. Certainly in the Super Bowl, he had a solid effort, but unfortunately, the offense wasn't able to score enough points and take away for the Chiefs. And that was how that stint ended. So, now with all the so-called drama and speculation, here we are. Chase Young signs a 1-year, $13 million deal with the New Orleans Saints. Now, the Saints, we know, especially the last couple of years, they've been more prideful on defense. With Cameron Jordan, they re-signed Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu. They did release Marcus May, but they still have solid pieces on that defense. Marshawn Lattimore, etc. Yep. Demario Davis. It's a good plethora on that team. And Brian Brees as well. He was a solid pickup in the draft. But etc. We know the Saints have been trying to find their pass rusher opposite of Cam Jordan for some time, for the last few years. They thought it was going to be Marcus Davenport. Davenport showed flashes when he was healthy, but injuries obviously took away that moniker. And been around a couple teams. He was with the Vikings last season. Now he's with the Lions. But nonetheless, Chase Young, we'll see. Without this commotion, still only 24 years old. So he's still very young. He still has room to grow and realize the potential. People saw him when he was at Ohio State, and now coming into the league. We'll see how it goes. But especially in a shifting NFC North, it seems, or the NFC South, because Bucs won the division. They re-signed who they needed to re-sign. Baker, Vontae David, Mike Evans. Falcons certainly have been splashier with Kirk Cousins and Darnell Mooney. So we'll see. And then, the Panthers, who knows if Bryce Young, how much of an improvement will Bryce Young make in sophomore season, and even that will be enough to overcome the deficits they have on the team right now. But clearly, right now, it's a three-head race, and the Saints are so competent. In a way, they both underwhelmed and overwhelmed, or rose above expectations last season, because they were 9-8. There were times when they looked like who they should. I mean, with Derek Carr, he's not a great quarterback, but he's a very competent quarterback who you expect when you merge with that talent. You expect it to take a step forward. Yes, he's not Breeze, what Breeze did for the Saints, but still he's a very confident quarterback in what he was paid to do. And they did well. They didn't do great. They came up just shy of making the playoffs. We'll see. No Michael Thomas. We know that defense is going to be solid. It's about the offense. No Michael Thomas. He was released. It seems Chris Olave is going to be firmly, assuming he can stay healthy, the number one receiver on the offense. There was a bunch of movement on the offense as far as the receiver position is concerned. But, Alvin Kamara, he's so compatible in the backfield. We'll see. But, yeah, nonetheless, hope for the best for Chase Young. And, for those differing opinions, hopefully he gets Zach together. And that's probably why it's a 1-year deal. Just go out, play your best, and earn a big gig and probably a different home, but a more permanent home in the league. Mike Williams. The former Chargers big wide receiver, drafted in 2017. They had very interesting approach for the Chargers this offseason. We know they had cap issues. An interesting way they've gone about it with the new coach, a bit of a new staff. They restructure Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack's contracts, so they managed to say that's good for defense. However, on the offense side, they released Mike Williams, so that's one. And then they traded Keenan Allen, who had over 1,200 yards last season. Still one of the top receivers, quietly, but still one of the top receivers in the game. Trade to the Bears for a 4th-round pick. So, a unique sentiment for the Chargers, who they did pick up an interesting pickup, which I'll get into in a sec, but Mike Williams now goes to the Big Apple to play with the Jets, play with Aaron Rodgers, and presumably to be the number 2 behind Garrett Wilson, which an interesting 1-2 in the Jet and with New York. So Mike Williams, we know the injuries, we know that has definitely hindered his growth as being one of the top receivers in the game today. But we know the risk-reward factor. I think that's why this 1-year deal, to prove that he can be healthy and be very competent and be a good weapon for one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen in the history of the league, in Aaron Rodgers. So now, when you look, but yeah, definitely we've seen, great flashes of Mike Williams when he was healthy with Chargers. It's just a matter of health factor. But right now, if you're a Jets fan, and it's tough because of all the excitement you got the last 2 seasons, and you don't want to get over confident or cocky, but you certainly have to be optimistic. Just looking at the offensive moves they've made in free agency. It's like, okay, the number one goal for the Jets was to protect Aaron Rodgers and get protection on the offensive line. So, they signed John Simpson. They traded for Morgan Moses. And they signed Tyron Smith. So, automatically, there's 3 plugs right there. I think we were all kind of expecting them to sign David Bakhtiari instead of Tyron Smith because of the Aaron Rodgers situation. But I guess they just felt there was more competency and maybe it was less money that Tyron Smith, or who knows. But alas, they went with Tyron Smith. So that's a plus, provided they all can be healthy. Same with Mike Williams. So now you got Garrett Wilson going into his 3rd year, and you have Mike Williams, a big wide receiver. Wilson, is a very good route runner, but he's not as big as Mike Williams. Mike Williams is big and certainly can catch those big contested ball or contested 50-50 balls. So that's up there. And of course in the backfield, Breece Hall certainly showed at times that he still got it in his sophomore year after he tore his ACL in a what looked to be promising rookie year, but over time he got healthier last season, now into another year off that injury. We'll certainly see, but good signs it seems for Jets fans, and Jets offense provide, health. Now, it's now put into question an interesting approach they have in the draft. Because right now, they're at number 10. They don't need a quarterback. There's going to be a number of round robins in the top 10, or trading up in the top 10 to at least entertain wanting to get a quarterback when these higher grade quarterbacks. We know the Bears likely are all but not going to be taking Caleb Williams. So, who are the Commanders going to pick? Quarterback, but who? Patriots, seems like they'll pick a quarterback. Giants, Vikings. There's thoughts throughout the top 10 and top echelon of the draft. So we'll see, and where teams like the Chargers, the Cardinals, Jets, teams that don't need quarterbacks as much as these teams need. It's going to be an interesting price to see how trades happen or not. But if I had to pick right now with how things are happening, right now I'd say if Brock Bowers is there at number 10, and right now I could see him going both either to the Chargers or to the Jets. But if for some reason Brock Bowers is still there at number 10 for the Jets to take, I think they're going to take him. I think there's a total price there. Now, if, like I mentioned, one of these fair share teams, they either trade up or, they pick and then they trade back in with the Jets, they could definitely pick one of the other tight ends, say Ja'Tavion Sanders, perhaps later in the first round. There is a gap, but it's not like a sizable gap between Brock Bowers and Ja'Tavion Sanders from Texas. So we'll see. We'll see. So another move I gestured towards a little bit ago that I mentioned. So we know Jim Harbaugh and the point of reference and how he and Greg Roman, they want to fit in this tough, gritty, ground and pound offense that we kind of saw at Michigan and ties with Baltimore and San Francisco for when they used to coach together. This move is an interesting one as it ties into that, as the Chargers signed Bradley Bozeman, former center of both the Panthers and the Ravens. So it's an interesting one because Corey Linsley, who is one best O-lineman we've seen, was signed to the Chargers not that long ago, and unfortunately last season he suffered a heart issue, a health issue. So unfortunately, thankfully he appears okay, but nonetheless, getting back on the field, that's another thing. And you just wonder, in a way that shortened J.J. Watt's career, or ultimately led to him retiring when he retired, or at least was one of the reasons, it seemed. But Corey Linsley, nonetheless, this is a good acquisition. Assuming Linsley does retire, there's speculation reports. I'm just saying that if. But nonetheless, it's a very good signing for the interior of the O-line, because at the end of the day, you want to provide safe ground game. Bradley Bozeman, they already signed Gus Edwards. Point of reference, you got Rashawn Slater, left tackle. You gotta improve. You gotta protect your big investment, was ultimately Justin Herbert, and just do what you can to win football games, more football games, and here for 2024. Had some more interesting moves, or not great moves, but certainly noteworthy. So Jerry Jeudy signed a 3-year extension now with the Cleveland Browns. So, of course, he was traded from Denver to Cleveland last week. And now they've given him an extension for the former first-round pick and presumably number 2 behind Amari Cooper, and should be a fun duo. It looks to be for Deshaun Watson coming back from his shoulder issue. Now, some good stuff to look for in Cleveland after a bizarre but in many ways, or in a way, successful season. KJ Osborne going from the Vikings now to the Patriots. Solid addition from Vikings to the Patriots. He's a good wide receiver. He's not great. Patriots definitely need upgrades at number of position, especially wide receiver, but Osborne is the guy who definitely helps. I will say tight end, that seems fairly cleared up. Now with Hunter Henry and now Austin Hooper, that's an interesting tight end group, but we'll see. But I guess welcome aboard for the Patriots, KJ Osborne. Interesting. So, before we talk about March Madness really quick. So, Saturday, main event. Marcin Tybura versus Tai Tuivasa. We know Tuivasa has been on a weird slate as of late. After a great run of momentum, he has now been stifled in his last number of fights, and in ways to recapture that momentum, because once the slope happens, you're just like, okay, you gotta just win one. So, Tuivasa fought Tybura, and we know Tybura, he's good on the ground, he's good on the feet, but mostly he's very good on the ground, and which this led to the finish. Tuivasa, we know in similar ways to who is now going to be inducted in the Hall of Fame, Vanderlei Silva, shares numerous traits as Vanderlei does, as he loves to swing and bang and throw hands. And he did give Tybura adversity early, but ultimately Tybura weathered the storm and took him down and choked him out in the first round. So the slope continues for Tai Tuivasa, who's on this very good run, and momentum now. It's getting weary for Mr. Bam Bam, the number one of the shoey. And but good win for Tybura. Good stuff. Tybura is a good underrated guy in the UFC heavyweight division. So, uniquely there. But let's talk about the big one. So, I'm not going to preview games. I'm not going to give my March Madness predictions. But we'll talk about a few games on the up and up. So first day we saw Colorado State take solemnly care of Virginia, so they moved past. So just want to update my bracket on that. So they will be facing Texas in the first round in the Midwest. And then Wagner, they won a dicey close one versus Howard. Howard had number of chances late, but ultimately they did not get the job done. And Wagner advances to face number one in the West, UNC. But I do want to talk about a few of these matchups. So, the reigning national champions will get a chance to defend their title and try for a back-to-back as UConn, ranked number one in the East, they take away to face number 16 Stetson, which Stetson has been solid this season, but certainly gonna have to put up a big fight to put up against UConn. UConn had a moment where they looked back down to earth this season, so where they kind of looked human, but they rest their case, and it's going to be a battle. Certainly it has to be. San Diego State, who was the runner-ups last year, they faced UAB in the East. Yale, they barely held on, or I should say barely came back to beat a 13-7 Brown to win the Ivy League, and now they have to contest with Auburn. That's going to be some test. It's going to be unique. Houston, and a lot of ways, are people's favorites. They will were the one seed in the South, and they will take on Longwood. Let's see, where we go. So, and Purdue with Zach Edey, who's now the number one leading scorer in Purdue history. They were selected to number one in the Midwest, although they came up short in what was a fun Big Ten championship against Wisconsin. Wisconsin, credit to them, they put up the fight to get the tie up, send it to overtime, and then tie up or take the lead at the end to win it. So, goes there. So yeah, we got those matchups. We got. Want to shed some light because kind of have to. On Friday, Clemson, New Mexico, as the Lobos. It's been a while, but they are back in March Madness. They won a brutal stretch, but winning the Mountain West Championship, being Boise State, who plays tomorrow against Colorado. Be a tough battle to see who gets in to play. Where's the other crap I'm missing? see who faces Florida. But yeah, New Mexico, they beat Colorado State, they beat Boise State, they beat Air Force, and they beat San Diego State all in span course and won the Mountain West Championship, and thus moved in to or convinced people for March Madness. Yes, 11th seed, I agree, is a bit low, but now it's up to them. Maybe they could use that as an advantage. Maybe they could use it as a chip on their shoulder, being 11th and say 4 or 5. But here they are. Face Clemson on Friday. Go on to face the winner, Baylor and Colgate. We'll see. But yeah, it's certainly a unique outing, I think, that's for sure. So, yeah, Illinois, who beat what was it, the SEC? Yeah, SEC, or wait. Yeah, well, I check on my phone. Wait 1 sec. I do not want to mispronounce this info. I do not. So Illinois won the Big Ten championship against Wisconsin. Okay, I was thrown off. Auburn won the SEC, so I was good on that. NCC, yeah, that was the interesting one. They beat North Carolina, which is why North Carolina, a bit surprised that they're still a 1 seed, UNC. But, yeah. That's how it is. UConn won the Big East. Iowa State won the Big 12. And Oregon beat Colorado to win the Pac 12. So, we know the interesting work's going around there. But yeah, March Madness, we had 2 playing games today. We'll have 2 more tomorrow to clear out the fields and see how it goes. March Madness, gonna be fun. Bracket busters, upsets galore. See who bracket keeps going and who falters. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be wild, but it's gonna be fun. Anyways, guys, thank you guys all for joining me on the podcast today, guys. That's about it for today, but thank you all. I will do a bit of predictions for my bracket for I'd say yeah, I'll try to do it. I'll upload it for sometime Thursday. If not Wednesday night or tomorrow night. But guys get just or whenever you get this. But nonetheless, thank you guys. Be safe. See you guys next time. Like, leave a thumbs up, subscribe. Thank you guys. Peace.